In the first week of September 2019, with Hurricane Dorian bearing in from the Atlantic, U.S. corporate media from print news to late night and everything in between became hyper-focused on just a couple messages from President Trump. As usual, they always intentionally skip over key information that undercuts any aspect of their whole self-superior pose, that they are so smart and Trump is so stupid that his supporters must be even dumber, and you all should just listen to what they say and vote for who they say to vote for. They need to twist facts and reframe everything to make themselves out to be superior. It's every bad thing about the establishment and elitism and over-centralization all wrapped into one. Because all through this period, official National Weather Service and National Hurricane Center forecasts continue to show a slight chance of storm force wind in southeast Alabama. People wonder why Trump would use a marker to bring attention back to the story for yet another day. But it's because he's aware of how the media operates. He also understands how the underground media will respond, and since the facts are on his side, it's worth dragging it on to expose the media for what they are and to get them to expend more energy. By the end of the week, the Birmingham Forecast Office had been slapped down by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and except for a brief attempt to exaggerate the response, the drive-by media stopped mentioning the story. It's remarkable to see the range of techniques the establishment media uses to try to assert their dominance at each level of the information stack, from the factual basis of the story in print and on TV, in a smug continuum straight through to late-night comedy.
And then there's Trump's ignorance when it comes to Hurricane Dorian, a Category 2 hurricane currently approaching the U.S.
This gag supposedly shows Trump's ignorance, but it's actually a carefully selected moment that is removed from context, then used to create the desired propaganda effect. The media make a big deal of Trump showing advisories from a day or two before the controversy, in the name of communicating what had actually happened during the lead-up to the storm, and to bring it back to a fair discussion. But they have no problem describing the storm as small using late data in the name of distorting what really happened, if it makes Trump look like he was overreacting and should just get over it. At other times, they remind everybody how large and dangerous the storm was, when they want to show how much they care and Trump doesn't, or how irresponsible he is and how prudent they are. They downplay the storm here, but by the next day it was back up to a Category 3, and just 48 hours earlier it was hitting the Bahamas as a Category 5. But the media and the comedy shows required this narrow twisting of the president's meaning for the framing of every single story.
And then there's Trump's ignorance when it comes to Hurricane Dorian, a Category 2 hurricane currently approaching the U.S.
Trump is so familiar with these ongoing media dynamics that one of his best bets is to continue to expose them, and where possible, to direct the media complex in repetitive cycles so more people notice and so it overspins. The marker, Sharpiegate, is the cheapest, fastest redirect yet.
It was the map he held up in the White House that led to immediate questions.
Alabama could even be in for at least some very strong winds, and something more than that it could be.
The National Weather Service even forced to correct him on Twitter, saying Alabama will not see any impacts from Dorian.
Already they are getting the story wrong, because that video of Trump actually was a response to this tweet from the National Weather Service in Birmingham, about 4 hours later. Just for starters, think about this one narrative moment. How can they be forced to respond if this supposed response happened first? In reality, the 12:30 briefing responded to the earlier tweet and should have been the end of it. The briefing continued with Trump personally questioning the director of the NHC along these lines, and the director refused to put it in absolute terms like the Birmingham tweet had. But he did discuss the complexity of the models and how much uncertainty is involved, and how they are really trying to communicate that it's not just where it hits, but the size of the storm meant that it was dangerous in a much wider area.
We really tell the general public not to necessarily just focus on that center line where that is. We tell them focus on the cone, because that's based on our average error over the last 5 years. So really the way to think about it is the center could be anywhere inside that cone. So that allows for solutions. So small changes could put this right along the coast. We can also see landfall moving northward. So that's why we really tell people to really pay attention and be ready with time.
If Trump had said something like, "Be ready with time," you'd have been hearing jokes about time machines and preppers chilling with beers as the storm approached because they had extra time that they'd saved up because Trump told them to. And a warning on every official NHC and NWS cone forecast emphasizes that hazardous conditions can occur outside the cone. NOAA advisories from early that same Sunday morning, after the FEMA briefing and on into Monday, all continued to broadcast a slight risk of storm-force winds in a southeast portion of Alabama stretching about 120 miles north from the southern border and 40 or 50 miles west of the southeast corner. The tweet from the Birmingham NWS forecast office was alone in saying Alabama would feel no impacts, even when advisories from NOAA and the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service still showed southeast Alabama with slight chances of storm-force winds. Yet for the next several days the media hung all its exasperation on that one tweet. So again, that statement and questioning session with the NHC director was the response to the Birmingham tweet, not the other way around. Among many other twisting techniques, the media have no problem reversing the order and leaving out the fact that the director had a more measured, cautious approach that paralleled the president's, unlike the absolute language in the Birmingham tweet.
Exactly, but the president, I think, enjoys all of this because this becomes a media story, and if you are a Trump supporter, you believe him on this, and he has done a very good job of discrediting a lot of things. Never mind the fact that he's in the wrong.
Saying he's wrong here is a real stretch. And by the end of the week, the media had gone silent on this topic because the factual basis of the hive mind position had vanished, and continuing would have made them look obviously stupid even to their followers. It's not that savvy media consumers believe Trump, it's that the cherry-picking and emotional driving that the media engages in is so obvious. They try to stack everything in their favor, from the couple facts they select as starting points to dramatic gestures like throwing down pens. But almost everything this anchor says here is either twisted, exaggerated, or turns out, on closer examination, to have been wrong.
Look, no one disputes